There we go. Hi, happy. What day of the week is it? Oh my gosh. That is where we are at in this year, y'all. I do not know what day of the week it is. I'm so excited to be here with you. It is Wednesday. But I don't know how everybody else is feeling, especially my friends in the US, but I've been feeling it quite a bit. This is also globally, I don't think I've ever, I mean, I'm sure we're all in it. Let's just acknowledge it. I think it is just, um, yeah. Rage, grief, all the things, sadness, worry, fear, all those things. Tomorrow is also the anniversary of losing my father, 5 year anniversary. So I've personally just been kind of in, like that's what's going on. Just I think it's just sometimes helpful to normalize those things. And also, this is the dichotomy of business and life. My business is thriving. My clients have had some of their biggest months and wins, which I shared. So you know, the business is still going well for people because I think that's one of the concerns right now with a lot that's going on. My marriage is great, my health is great, right? So I think that's just like a reminder for all of us that this is the dichotomy of life of being a business owner. But I also just want to acknowledge that and just check in with how are all of you doing aside from today's topic. But we're also going to talk business today because that's what this space is for. So we're going to talk about the truth about freebies and funnels in particular, and the behind the scenes and some of the strategy of a highly converting sales funnel. Before I dive into this, and I'm going to workshop this with you, I'm going to give you quite a bit of insights because, just this past week, I've had 2 or 3 clients have their highest conversion rates for their opt-ins and their highest conversion rate on the back end in terms of it turning into sales and revenue. I know in the past 6 months, we've more than doubled my email list and our sales funnel conversion rate, because that just wasn't something I was, quite honestly, we've always had a sales funnel, but I wasn't focused on building that through opt-ins and emails in the past, and we recently started testing ads. So just for context as to like why that's a recent thing and not a past thing. So that's where this is coming from. I've got quite a bit to say on that before I dive in, because I will forget otherwise, because I'm going to get into some of the nitty gritty here. I have a free masterclass happening next week for you, the Simplified Scaling Blueprint. It will not be in this Facebook group if you're used to that. I'm hosting it privately on Zoom so I can workshop with you and answer your questions. Plus, it's nice to get to see some of your faces. I really enjoy it that way. So I'll drop a link for that if you want to join me. I'm going to walk you through. This is a class I've taught in the past. I have completely revamped it, updated based on just what I've seen over the last year, what I've really seen working for me. So for my clients, I've really seen some shifts in terms of what's going into scaling and doubling, tripling your revenue, as well as doing it in a way that allows you to pay yourself well. I really care obviously about you and my clients making 6 and 7 figures, but I care more so that you're taking home really good profit margins and that you're getting to pay yourself 6 figures or multi 6 figures. I share this all the time. My business makes very healthy multi 6 figures, but I take home as much, if not more, than many $1 million businesses. I just ran the stats on this. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here online. I think profit margins for most service-based businesses are, if they're healthy, are 20 to 40%. A lot are not healthy, right? They're 5 to 10%. So that means if you're making $1 million, you can do the math there. My business takes home as much, if not more than that, and that's because of the principles we're going to walk through in this masterclass. I'm going to walk you through 5 core principles. This is literally, I'm walking you through exactly what I focus on, what I support my clients with. There's a really great playbook so that if you can't have got very limited one-on-one spots. So if we don't have the opportunity to work together, this is sort of like some of the questions I would be asking you and having you audit and look at in your business. I'm going to give you that if you sign up, and then one person will win a VIP strategic planning session with me. So fun way to have a chance to work together as well. So I hope you'll join me. I think it's gonna be a really, really great class. I also think it's like this is the stuff if you want to scale your business, but also do it in a way that is giving you good take home pay. This is the stuff to focus on. I'm not giving you fluff. I'm not giving you like, I don't know, some like generic stuff. Like this is literally what I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in mastering myself, and that has supported my clients and I to make collectively multi millions. All right. Please join me. I would love to have you. Let's talk freebies and funnels and all the business stuff. So I'm gonna just so you know what we're gonna cover. I'm gonna talk about what makes a freebie irresistible and what has people scroll past it, because I think there's just some truth in terms of what's the truth around funnel freebies. We're talking about the biggest mistake I've made in the past with my sales funnels and the simple tweak that has helped me 2 to 3 times industry standards. And now that I've started testing ads, when I decide to use those and turn those on, I did the math on this. I'm getting a 17 1,720% or up to a 2,175% ROI on my ads when I spend them. It is bonkers. Literally, it costs me less than it costs us to post content in other Facebook groups, and that's the return we're getting. So I'm going to talk about those tweaks. And I'm just sharing that not to brag, but just so you can understand that this is not like, I don't know, like this is coming from tested and tried things, not just like stuff I'm making up. The exact shifts I'm helping clients make so that their opt-ins are things that people are excited to sign up for. And the 3 places I see most sales funnels lose so much leads and money on the back end, like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. Okay, so let's talk first about the truth about funnels. Hey Heidi, nice to have you here. And y'all, if you have questions, anything, I want to workshop this with you. I want to be an open book. I only do one-on-one work, so I can't work with everybody. And I have very limited availability. So this is the way I get to share some of that with you. I don't do group programs or anything like that. So please, if you have questions about this, or if you want to like ask me anything or workshop anything, please throw it at me. I'm so happy to be an open book around this. Wait, let's just talk first about the magnets freebies. So I don't know if I shared this at the beginning of this conversation, but the impetus for this live stream in particular is someone reached out to me who has a successful business and was like, can you just give me the 411, like what you're seeing behind the scenes? Are opt-ins, are freebies dead? I'm hearing this from so many people. I've had a lot of people confirm like they're not getting the signups they used to, like this is just like not a strategy anymore, that they're dead. And then she's also someone who's very self-aware, and she was like, I also realized this could just be a limiting belief. This could just be a story I'm telling myself, kind of which one is it? And what I reflected to her and what I said to her is, honestly, it's both and I think that's something that maybe is just helpful to normalize. Look, the truth is it is more crowded than it has ever been online, and it's not like it's crowded with both crap and with a lot of people who are really good at what they do, right? Like I think we sometimes think that means like everything's crap out there. It's really not. But it's also crowded in a time when you can get information anywhere, right? There is, with AI, with Google, with just opening up Instagram, right? There is so much information, and information is just at our fingertips. And so information is no longer a commodity. Back in the day when we all first started making opt-ins and freebies, information was a commodity. It's just not a commodity anymore, right? This is just kind of the way business works, right? Like, what is the commodity that people want to pay for? We pay for opt-ins with our email addresses, right? Or with our time or with our energy to consume them. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's happening, y'all. Sorry, I'm not sick. They're doing construction outside, and I think it's kicking up dust. Okay, let me refocus here. So information, and when I say information, obviously we're all, like this is me giving information, but information that's really generic and that people can just find online, and like simple how-tos, 5 steps to X, Y, and Z, that someone can just find for free or without opting in, whether that is on an Instagram scroll or on a live stream like this or ChatGPT or anything like that. I really do think that those types of opt-ins and freebies are getting much lower signups and much lower conversions. It's not that they can't work anymore. Like, I'll never say that, but I do think you're not crazy if you're seeing that. But I don't think that, and what I really want to help you see is that's not because freebies and opt-ins are dead. It's because that type of freebie and opt-in is not what our market currently wants to consume and opt into and pay with their time and their email, right, address or their energy to consume. And so that's the difference there. And I think that's the case when we have any strategy, right? This happens all the time with business models. One-on-one is dead. Courses are dead. Groups are whatever. It's like Facebook groups, someone just asked me if Facebook groups are dead. I just checked our metrics yesterday. Even though I'm focusing on Instagram, I still get the majority of my traffic from this Facebook group. Facebook groups are not dead. But when we're having these questions, it's usually because there's some truth in that. And oftentimes it's because the market has shifted, right? The industry has shifted, something in that has shifted. So the way we're consuming it, the way we're using it, what we want to pay with our money, time, dollars, whatever that is, like has changed. If we think about when Blockbuster went out of business, it's not that we all stopped watching movies, right? Movies weren't dead. The way we rented movies changed, right? The market changed and they did not keep up with that, right? The way we consumed our content changed and they did not keep up with that, whereas Netflix did. So no, lead magnets are not dead. In fact, I would say that has always been a part of it. You know, if you think about what a lead magnet is, it's it's what people do offline as well. If you think about people who go to speak or who go to your grocery store, if you go to the grocery store and someone's like handing out a cheese sample or like a sample of some crackers or kombucha or something like that, if you go to Whole Foods, that's basically a lead magnet. I mean, it's just, and it's a sales funnel, just in a different way, right? We just see this everywhere. This is just such a core strategy in business. So it's not dead. Don't get it in your head. However, I do think we are in a time where if you want to have an opt-in, not only have people sign up for it, but have it turn into conversions on the back end, that game has shifted dramatically. I think what we are signing up for has changed, which I'm going to share a little more around. I think we are looking for unique information, right? Information we can't get elsewhere to sign up for. We're looking for problems to solutions. We're looking for high quality opt-ins, quite honestly. And I think sometimes we hear high quality to mean overload and stuff with a ton of information. That's not what I'm talking about. It can still be a super simple one pager, right? It can still be a simple one sheet of something, but the context of that, right? The content of it, that is what needs to be change. And really, I think we're just in a time where we just have to be so much more specific and clear on who our audience is, what they need, what they're wanting to consume. And then I think we just have to think about what goes into the back end of that sales funnel. I both see sales funnels extending in terms of not necessarily time, but number of touch points needed. And I'm also seeing in some of our sales funnels, like quite honestly, ours has gotten so much shorter, and that someone can come into my world and hire me within days. But I think the context here, because I think otherwise we're like, oh, a sales funnel, right? Like someone should just be able to hire me in a couple of days. The reason for that is because of the number of touch points and what is being put into those touch points that someone can consume in my world within days. So sales funnels are not dead. I think that's really important to lay on the table. Curious if y'all are watching, if you have thoughts on that, if you've seen it from either side, whether it's signing up for something from what you're putting out there. I would love to hear your thoughts. Just seeing here. This is okay. So this is the other piece. So let's go into this a little bit more. So the other thing here. So again, just to recap that, I do think we really want to look at opt-ins that are specific to you and your work and isn't something someone else can get somewhere else or on ChatGPT. And specific to you and your work, what I mean by that is, yes, that it speaks to your audience. Yes, that it solves a specific problem. I think that's sort of like the baseline of marketing. But when I say specific to you and your work, what I'm coaching clients around, what I'm talking to them about is, and then what I'm asking them is, what do we want to teach your audience about you? What is unique about your process? What is something you believe? This is essentially thought leadership, right? What I'm teaching in my masterclass next week, this is not something you can go Google and find. This is from me being in the trenches for 9 years, supporting clients to 6 and 7 figures and scaling my own business to 1.6 million in the past 6 years, right? And paying myself multi-six figures. This is a lens and perspective and things that you can't find it somewhere else unless you come to my masterclass, right? But it's very specific to me. It's very specific to my work. It's very specific to the way I support clients. It's very specific to what I've done. It's very specific to my process. And it's also teaching people what I want them to know. It's right. I want to teach you yes, what I want you to know to get results, right? The problems you have and the solutions you want to get, but also what I want you to know about my work and how I think about this and how I show up around this. And so that's what I mean when I say what's specific to you in your work. The other thing I also think with this is these are all things someone can't get elsewhere, but also how are we really using our lead magnets and opt-ins to filter in and out people as well? I think in the past, opt-ins were just sort of like for the like generic person, as opposed to I think we're just really being called to get so much more specific. I think of it in a positive way. Like I want to pick the people I work with in terms like I want them to just be such right fit clients. But in that way, I need to create something that's so specific for that right fit person as opposed to being right for everyone. That's just what I'm seeing work really, really well right now. What I also coach clients around and what I've just seen myself in like one of the reasons are we have landing pages that convert at absurdly high conversion rate, both organic and with ads. Same with my clients when we're workshopping these. and the reason I'm sharing that here is you have to really sell people to take you up on free. And I think that's something we forget. I think a lot of times you can have a great opt-in or freebie lead magnet and pour so much into it. And it is like the best thing in the entire world. And you're like, seriously, people would pay for this. Because that's always I always think about, I want to have opt-ins. I want to have a masterclass that people leave and they're like, I would have paid for that. The last couple of master classes I've run, people literally told me they would have paid for that, and they can't believe I gave that away for free, and they were blown away by that. And I'm going to give some nuance and context around that, because again, that doesn't mean information overload. Same next week. I'm like, the class will be very simple. It's very simple, but I think that if you sign up for that, it is as good, if not better, than things you would have paid for, right? That's my goal there. But I also know, no matter how much I pour into that masterclass, no matter how much I pour into, we gave an opt-in freebie for profit planning a couple of weeks ago. It's epic. I could definitely charge for that, right? But it doesn't matter how epic that is if I don't sell it to you. And I think when we have something for free, and that's something that we know is so amazing, I see this with clients all the time when they're promoting free calls. I think the belief is, well, this is free, I shouldn't have to do anything to market it or to sell it. And I know you all know this, and I'm being a little Captain Obvious around this. Because I'm sure when you hear this, you're like, well, of course. But I think with it being so crowded online, and with so many people doing, even if we're all so unique in the way we do our work, no one knows that until we teach them that, right? So when we go online, there are so many people who appear to do the same thing you do, who appear to have the same values you do, who appear to have the same process you do, who appear to have, a very similar solution to the problem many people have. I know I am actually one of the very, 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 very few one-on-one coaches at my level of success with my personal results, with my clients' results, who offer one-on-one at all, yet alone focus only on one-on-one. But unless I tell you that, right? Unless I'm really clear about that and I teach you that in different ways, there are tons of one-on-one coaches. There are tons of one-on-one people who do on the surface the same thing that I do. Right? So when I offer something for free, right, it's a similar idea. Like, it's easy just to think like, well, this is so valuable. Like, it's easy for me to think my one-on-one coaching is so valuable, it's a no-brainer. But if I don't tell people why, right, we can't connect the dots. Same with our freebies. And I think one of the biggest places freebies go to die right now is that we're not spending enough time marketing and selling our free. Because we think it should just be a no-brainer. And I think we forget, and I'm not calling anyone out. I think it's just, if you're freebies and opt-ins aren't getting the results you want, I think so often what we do is we go first to what's the content of it. And of course that matters, but we make that the problem, and we forget, if we're not getting enough traffic and signups, it's we don't even know if the meat and potatoes of your freebie is the challenge, right? Because no one has even gotten there yet. Most likely it has more to do with the positioning of it. It has more to do with the way you are messaging that freebie. It has more to do with the way you are showing up to sell and promote that freebie. And maybe even the way you're thinking about, like, oh, right, my full-time job now becomes learning how to position, message, market to sell this freebie. And I don't want to make that sound harder than it is. I think it's just a focus shift, because sometimes what we do then is we just tinker on the back end. I was just lovingly giving a client a hard time about this. Or like, you're just avoiding the thing you need to do. The thing you need to do is just go out and tell the people about this, and tell the people about this in a way where they understand what's in it for them on the other side. This is with everything we do in marketing and sales, but I think we sometimes just forget that with our freebies. We gotta tell people why this is worth their time. People's attention spans are shorter than ever. People are busy. The world is hard right now, and people are in it, right? Like, the last thing most of us want to do is go sign up for something and consume something, have to learn something. Oh my gosh, that's brain challenging for us. And so again, we all get so close to our work. We're like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Everybody should know that, and it's free. And I think we just forget this part here. So I know I'm overly harping on it, but this is one of the biggest things. And yeah, I'm gonna go on to the next point, otherwise I'll harp on that for too long. But please go on, please go Let me know if you have any questions. I will just say the other part with that is then I also think we forget that after someone has signed up, we still have to keep selling them on our opt-in if we want them to consume it and to benefit from it and to get the result from it and to get the impact from it, right? Which we want, because that's what a good opt-in freebie is going to do. It gives people a quick win. It gives them a quick result. It helps them to see what it's like. It's a taste test, right? It is that cheese sample. We want someone to taste your cheese sample and be like, oh my gosh, this is so good, I want to buy the rest. So if people aren't consuming that, if someone just takes the cheese sample at Whole Foods, I don't know why I'm saying cheese, I don't even like cheese, the kombucha sample, the pizza sample, I love pizza. So if someone takes the pizza sample, but then they throw it away, or they don't eat it, it doesn't matter that they've opted in, right? We have to keep selling people after they've opted in on why they need to consume or opt in. And so what I look at in my own sales funnels and what I work on with clients is, yes, we want to get obviously the right opt-in. Yes, for a freebie. Yes, we want to get people the positioning and marketing right so that people sign up for that. What are the adjustments we need to make there? But then also once someone is got signed up for your freebie, what are we doing to encourage them to actually use that and to benefit from that? Because if you can increase that percentage, right? If you can increase the show up rate or the watch rate of your masterclass, for example, if you can increase the open rate of your freebie, if you can increase the completion rate of your mini course, those are all now your warmest leads. Those are all people who've just had a great experience for free with your business. Those are all people who are much, much, much more likely to want to work with you, to want to hire you. Of course, there are also people who sign up for things, never consume it, and will hire you. I see that happen as well, which is a different conversation. But I think that also means it's our job as business owners to continue. I mean, we can call it nurturing, but I really think it's selling people on why they need to open the email, why they need to download the freebie, why they need to watch the video. And so that's a really big part of what gets your freebies to convert for you. And I think, again, there's just so many places in the process where I see where it's like, well, I did it, I made the thing, done, and we forget there's just steps we want to keep doing if we really want to encourage people to benefit from our work and also to get those results off the back end. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, the next thing here, and this is the biggest mistake I used to make, and this is the biggest thing I've learned with my freebies and with getting conversions off the back end of them. And that's really being mindful of not over teaching and not giving people information overload. And I want to be mindful of how I explain this, because I do not mean this as hoard your best information, or sometimes it's like only give them the what and don't give them the how. I don't know, there's things around that. I don't actually mean that at all. And I think what we have to remember is if we have a goal of conversions off the back end of a sales funnel, the more information we give people, the more we give someone to consume, the more complication and challenge, the more hurdles we are giving them to overcome before they feel ready to take the next step. If I give you a whole pizza to try, that's great, but if my goal is I just want you to know how great my restaurant is so that you come back in the next month, that's a great strategy. If my goal is I want you to buy a slice of pizza today and I give you a whole pizza to try, you're stuffed. You're probably not going to buy a slice of pizza today. And so I think we have to be really clear on what the goals of our funnels are and our opt-ins are and what we want people to do on the back end. And so I won't even say this is a mistake. I think it's just something I forgot because I've used funnels in different ways. Back in 2020, I was overbooked. I booked myself with 29 clients. I've shared this before. That's a whole different live streaming conversation from the lessons from that and why that happened. And I gave away a free sales course, a 6-week sales course, for lots of reasons we don't need to get into now. Now, I would consider that information overload, but it served me really well and made me a lot of money and brought me in really great clients, but it also served me really well because it was 6 weeks, which meant I didn't have capacity to take on clients right away. And so it was a great freebie for me to give because it brought people into my world. It gave them a ton of value, right? People consumed it. They got to know me, got to know my work. They got results from that. People took back, you can buy it now for $99. I still have a really low price on on my website if you're interested in it. People got great results from it. I've had people reach out and say they literally sold out their business, using that course. And then 6 weeks or 12 weeks later, after they finished that, they would be ready for some more support and they would book a call and hire me, right? That gave me a chance to keep my pipeline full, but not get clients right away because I was full. And I'm sharing that because I think sometimes it's easy to see someone have a strategy like that and to think, well, that's a great freebie or opt-in. I should just give more information and that's the way to go. That only worked for me because that's something where in 12 weeks and 3 months and 6 months and a year, someone would have finished that and would be ready to hire me. And I literally didn't have capacity for clients. Whereas if I have, let's say, like I have a spot I want to fill, I'm looking for one right fit client, and that's what I want to do, right? I'm going to want to still give information. I'm going to still want to give value. I'm going to still want to solve a problem, but I probably am going to want to give something to y'all that is helpful and gives you enough to have a win, but that also doesn't stuff you so much that you feel like you're not ready for support for until 6 months down the road. One is not better than the other, but it's the nuance, because if you're not clear on what your goals are, I think that can be challenging, or you can see what other people are doing. This is why business is not one size fits all. This is why it's so valuable to have a one-on-one coach who can help you understand what's true for you in your business. If I look at the masterclass, I mean, honestly, I think the masterclass I'm offering next week is quite valuable, and we're going to go into quite a bit of nuance. But I'm also not. Yes, I'm looking for my one next right fit client. I already know I'm going to book them. This sounds bratty of me, but I'm just going to be transparent just to help illustrate this here. I already know that I will fill that spot, and so yes, it could come from the masterclass, but I also know for me, my masterclasses are such a bigger part of my list build and long-term play, so I'm okay with structuring that a little bit differently and with what that means in terms of the nurture for the types of people I'm going to attract and for the types of relationship, because it's also really important to me that I'm selling one-on-one, right? It's really, really important to me I'm working with the right fit people. Anyway, not to get into too much nuance there, but what I've just really seen is if you want quick conversions, and if that's your goal, over teaching, over complicating, giving information overload, feeling like you have to give people everything in the kitchen sink is just going to delay the timeline for when someone is going to hire you. It does not mean that it's wrong or bad or not a valuable opt-in. It does not mean that it will not convert. It just means it's probably going to convert much further down the road. And so just being aware of that, I think, is really important, so you understand what are your goals and how are you structuring things. And the reason I say it's the biggest mistake I've learned is I got so used to that style of teaching. I think most of you, if you've been around my world for any amount of time, know most of my live streams, most of my freebies are quite... I like to give it all away, as much as it makes sense in this setting. And I've also, had, if I look at, I'm trying to think of how to, I don't want to sound like an asshole. We have good conversion rates anyway, but I also, when I'm looking at how do I want to improve our conversion rates, or if I'm looking at, if I wanted to, for example, have a masterclass and sell, right, we've done this in the past, sell directly into an intensive as opposed to into a consultation to see about, upcoming availability when I've opened up a couple of intensives at once. If I really wanted to maximize the number of those, if I've looked in the past, I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. Let's say we booked 3 to 5. Let's say I wanted to book 10, and I look at why that is. Part of it's numbers, part of it's, how many people are going through the funnel, part of it, because we have quite high open rates, conversion rates. But I know also part of it is if I'm over teaching in the class and I'm giving you so much that you now feel like it's going to take a couple of weeks to implement, you're probably not going to be ready to take that next step yet. And so it's not that it's a mistake, but I think it's a mistake when we don't have clarity on what our goal and intention is with what we're creating in our business. And that's more the mistake. I see this with my social media content all the time. When I'm clear on my goal with my social media content, I can reach that goal. My content can perform the way I want. When I'm not really clear on my goal, that's when I have content that doesn't perform well, or that I don't know how to measure, or that kind of bombs. And so this is just kind of for everything in business. But I would say definitely with your freebies and definitely with your sales funnels, really important to think about. If anybody wants me to clarify that, let me know. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next things. I do have talked about overteaching. I'm going to overteach and give y'all some more here because I have the luxury in my business to do that. I feel like that's so important. The reason I'm saying this so much, I just feel like it's so important to say, because I'm just very aware otherwise people with different business models or in different places of business, it's so easy to see what someone's doing. I think that's what you should be doing also. I have a one-on-one business only with very little availability that opens up. I am looking for the right one fit client though, right fit one-on-one client though. So if that's you, I will drop a link for a free coaching consultation as well. It's not like I never have availability, but because of that, I have the luxury to, I can kind of talk about whatever I want in content, right? I don't sell courses that I have to make sure I'm kind of protecting some information. I don't sell a group program where I have to make sure I'm like always, or I'm a mastermind where I have to make sure I'm bringing in so many people into my funnel or growing my audience at a certain level, or there's a lot I don't have to worry about because of my specific business, where I'm at in business. So I can just not like get away, but I just have a little bit more freedom to do things in a different way, that if I had a different business model, I might make different choices. One is not better or worse. That does not make me better because I'm giving away more value. I just simply can, because of my business. Anyway, I just feel like that's important to say, because otherwise I think what I'm saying can be confusing, or you're like, Kim, don't overteach. And here I'm overteaching, and I think it can feel like that doesn't make sense. Okay, so the next part here, if you want your sales funnel, you want your opt-in to convert. I think this has just been work I've been doing with quite a bit of my clients right now. And I'd say one of the things when we're looking on the back end of their funnels, when I look at the two, was it two or three? It doesn't matter, but two clients at least last week just reported back. They've had their highest converting funnel, both on the front end and the back end in terms of sales. One of the things we worked on, and I was just helping this with another client, is really helping people in your sales funnel on the back end to understand, and you all know this, but I think, again, there's just so many moving pieces here. I think we sort of like get one part done and we're so happy to have it out there that we kind of forget to focus on these pieces. So I don't think any of y'all don't know this, but I think it's just helpful to remember and to come back to, if you're not getting the conversions and the sales you want off the back end of your funnel, to check in with if you're doing this and doing this really clearly. And that's helping people understand, again, who you're for, what we were talking about at the beginning, who are you for and who you're not for, and helping them understand why you specifically. I think we just all have to assume anyone who's considering hiring us is also looking at someone else who's doing something similar, right? Unless there's just so few people who do what you do. And then finally, what is the gap you close for them, and are you spelling that out for them? Because I think what we forget is, if we just gave someone a taste test, we both whetted their appetite, but we've also satiated them a little bit, if we're using that example. So we need to help them understand, like, what that next step is, what the gap still is, what's next for them, and how we specifically are the right person, how we specifically, or your program or the product you sell, right, is the right thing to close that gap. And what I see happen a lot after a freebie or an opt-in, when I'm looking at the back end of the funnel, is it's not really clear why, like, what the gap is that is still there that we need to close, or what the gap is that was created, right? If you just got a small win, oftentimes one small win opens up a new and better problem, in my opinion. But if we don't show someone that new and better problem, most people don't know what they don't know. If I think about business, if you're newer to business, or if you're newer to scaling, if you've never made multi 6 or 7 figures before, you don't know what you don't know in terms of what comes along with that, right? You don't know the challenges that are going to come with that because you haven't done that before. And so if I give you the solution to scale to multi 6 or 7 figures, but I don't also spell out, great, you've got the framework, you've got the strategy, but here are the things you don't know are going to come up that I can support you with, that's on me for not articulating, and this is where I can support and help you. That's on me if I'm sort of like, well, I don't understand why people don't understand, like, why they're not converting. Well, they're not because they think they have everything they need, and they don't understand what the next step in the journey is, because how could they? They've never gone that far down the journey before, and they don't understand why me, or why you and your product or service are the thing to close that gap for them. And so again, these are like Alyssa said, I was just wondering this last week. Oh, Alyssa, do you mean if freebies were dead? I hope this will be valuable for you. I promise you, they are so not dead. They're not dead at all, but I do think they're changing. And oh my gosh, you all, I just was looking at the video. My hands look crazy because of the because of the angle of this. Like, anyway, sorry, I'm so distracted here. Alyssa, curious if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer those for you. And just going back to what I was saying here about the closing the gap piece, for all of you, I know you understand sales and marketing. I don't think, again, that this is necessarily brand new information, but I do think this is something, and again, I think this is just where having one-on-one support is so helpful, because when we're so busy creating something, it's really, really easy to think that we're clear on these things, that we're spelling these things out, or that these things are really obvious to people when they're not. I mean, for all of us. And so I would just say, though, that is a really big part and a really big piece in terms of what I see help people get signups but no conversions go from get signups and conversions off the back end, right? Because we're not just interested in growing the world's biggest email list or growing the world's biggest Instagram following or Facebook group. We don't want to be the Instagram influencer with 2 million followers who couldn't sell 36 t-shirts, right? Like, that's not the goal we're going for here. I'd rather you have fewer signups but more conversions off the back end, right? That's the game we're playing, is what this is turning into in the back end for you, which is, if you're a business owner, it's probably sales or waitlist spots. Okay, so then I'm just gonna see if Alyssa, no, okay, I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a question. Let me go on to the next part here. So with that, I think this is, again, you all know this. I'm not giving you brand new information, but this is just another place I see sales funnels go to die, is that we forget the fortune is in the follow-up. I see this in, and don't forget, a sales funnel doesn't have to be from a freebie or not. I mean, you could have a freebie be a free call, right? That is a sales funnel. Someone signs up for a free call with you, and then what happens in the back is your sales funnel. Like, that is still a sales funnel. I am just amazed at how much money we leave on the table because we don't follow up enough. And especially if we're going kind of the opt-in to email list, which I think is more what this conversation is about, or what we think of, how much effort we will put into a freebie, and we will send one email to follow up around it and then wonder why. Well, and that's when we say either freebies are dead, they're not signing up because we're not selling enough on the front end, and it's, not a juicy enough freebie, or on the back end we're like, well, this is stupid, this isn't work, this doesn't bring me calls and clients. I will tell you, freebies have been bringing me high ticket clients for my entire business. I mean, that's a big majority of where my clients come from, but part of that is because the fortune's in the follow-up and just the number of follow-ups and touch points we put on the back end. So I won't overly go into that, because I think that's I think it's both self-explanatory, but if you have any questions around that, I would just really look at, if you're building out a freebie funnel, an opt-in funnel, I would really encourage you to look at, are you following up on the back end and selling really clearly and directly? And look, depending on what you're selling, it doesn't need to be 17 fucking sales emails. But if we have just one, I promise you're doing yourself a disservice, and I would really, really encourage you to include some more there. Okay. This one here is probably the number one reason my funnels are highly converting and convert above industry standards. And that is because I test, I look at my data, I refine, and I repeat. And this is the non-sexy part of this conversation, but it is just the truth. And I feel like I would be making this sound different than it is. If I look at, we have a crazy stupid low cost per lead on we just started testing ads in the last year, and I don't run them regularly. We run them here and there just for list growth and to future proof my business. But when I look at even that, like, why is that so low? It's because I've been testing them, over and over and over again, just to optimize them. When I look even at why do they convert well for us on the back end, and I even look at some of so I use master classes. First and foremost, just to normalize this, I've been teaching free master classes consistently for I think over 6 years now. I probably was doing it before that, but for at least 6 years. So I've got some practice in that. And not to say it has to take you 6 years to get results. They've been getting me results for 6 years. But I also have master classes that are, the master class I'm teaching next week, it is a master class that I have taken and refined. I tested it and I refined it and I updated it to make it better. And that also means the same thing with the marketing for it and the landing page for it and the sales emails for it. And so I think that's just something we forget. If the fully booked method, we ran that live, and then we ran that to ads, and it's one of our best converting sales funnels. What no one knows, I mean, it doesn't matter, but is it converted well. And then I looked at it, I'm like, oh, well, it's not converting the way I want it to. And part of the reason for it is I overtaught. Like, I should have charged for this class. Like, not like I just should have in terms of I think where it should have looked my funnel. So I ran it again. I paid money to run it to traffic so that I could re-record that class, basically rewrote the whole class and did it again. And now it's converting, like now it's doing what we want it to on the back end. Anyway, I share that to say, because I think this is the stuff we don't want to hear. I think we also often think freebies don't work because I created this thing once and I put it out there and it didn't give me the results I wanted. And so therefore freebies suck, or I suck, or my business sucks, or this can't work for me. And I think what we just forget is business is an iterative process. Marketing is an iterative process. Sales is an iterative process. Creating really valuable opt-ins and freebies and sales funnels that also convert is an iterative, oh my gosh, can't even say that word, process, meaning we have to iterate over and over again. We have to be willing to test and collect data and either say this is fine and I'm okay with these results, or if I want different, better results, I need to look at that data and see where are the things that I can do to optimize. This does not mean burnout. This does not mean overwork, but it does often mean that if I think about creating a highly converting sales funnel, usually that isn't done in 2 weeks. And I think what we learn online and what social media teaches is you can have a business in a box and have a highly converting 6 to 7 figure sales funnel in 2 weeks, in 1 month. And it's not that you can't be a unicorn and have that happen. I don't want to say that that can't be true. And usually when that's true, it's because you're building something based off the knowledge and the mastery and the testing and the data of other things you've already done. And so that new thing with all of this mastery underneath you, right? I can create something and have it do really well for me very quickly, but that's because of all of the years of mastery. Again, not to say that has to take years, but all of that is what's going into it and informing it. And even with that, the way we optimize our results is we're testing and refining and tweaking, and then we're just doing it again. And I think that is just the part of, like, that is what business is. That's how you get great results. And that's the thing no one wants to fucking hear. And if I'm this is actually not a client. This is a good friend of mine who's she has a really great like evergreen sales funnel, and it's making her really great in air quotes passive revenue. And we joke because we say it's passive revenue, and she's like, it's the least thing from passive. It's taken her, I don't know, a year to really optimize that funnel of, and it's not like hard grinding out work. She doesn't work very many hours, but it has taken her probably a year of really optimizing that funnel to have this passive revenue and this highly optimized funnel. And she's killing it off of that. But again, I think these are just the things we don't talk about. I have the luck, and no, it's not because people are bad. It's because most people are selling and marketing things that, well, I mean, some people in our space are, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. I think, again, remember, I can talk about some of this stuff because I'm in a very different position in my business in terms of what I can talk about, and even in terms of the type of work I sell. So it's just easier for me to talk about things. If you're marketing and selling a course on building opt-ins or courses, it doesn't really serve you to tell people, yeah, and it's probably going to take some time to test and refine this, right? So I don't want to make this a conversation about how bad people in the industry are, as much as just a conversation to normalize what goes into getting those results. If I look at the 2 clients who had their best conversion rates off of their funnels, one in particular, I mean, she's really been honing and working that, and she's been getting results the whole time, right? Both of them, one has scaled from 0 to 6 figures, one to multi 6 figures. So it's not like they're not making money and getting results. When I say test and refine and optimize, it doesn't mean you can't make money along the way at all. It's just getting easier and easier for them now that their funnels are optimized. When I look at both of them, they have both been working their funnels and mastering the skill set for at least a year, if not 2 years. And they've been making that money the whole time. So, right, it can be both and there. I don't want to make this like a doomsday story. You can make money right away, and you can make more money with less effort and more take-home pay because you're paying less to acquire, whether it's if we have organic traffic, we still pay for that in our time and our marketing. If we have paid ads, right, we're obviously paying for that. And so if you're optimizing what you're doing and they're converting at a higher rate for you, you can spend less on your ads, or you can spend less time on marketing, right? You don't have to work as hard to get the same results and to take home more money. Okay. Okay, this is the last piece here, and then I hope this is valuable for you and helpful. This is what I put. I feel like this is like the least sexy thing ever, but this is what I put. My funnels are highly converting because I test and optimize like a beast. That's just the truth. I go to spin class and I love y'all might know this already, and I'm quite fast and I get called a beast, and it's kind of the same thing, right? I'm a beast because I show up and I have honed and mastered my skill set there. And so I think we just forget that, and then we just want to demonize working out, or we want to demonize freebies, or we want to demonize sales or marketing or funnels or whatever the thing is, as opposed to seeing, everything we're talking about here. Sometimes it's just that the industry or market has shifted and we need to shift with it, or sometimes it's because there's an opportunity to test, refine, optimize, or to master something. And that's just not always, I don't know, I think it's fun, I love that shit, but that's not everybody's cup of tea and fun. All right, the last piece here for having a freebie and a sales funnel that is highly converting, I think this is the part people forget about, and I think this is just another, if you can understand this is what keeps ad costs down, this is what makes your business so much easier, this is how you get so much more out of your free marketing and out of that opt-in you poured all that time and energy into creating and optimizing. This is how you get so much more out of everything, and that is remembering that sales will also happen way past your initial opt-in and sales sequence, and to continue to nurture relationships. Because what I see happen so often is we'll pour all of this into the opt-in and then get someone onto your email list, and then we just drop off into the abyss. And the other reason I see one of the reasons my organic sales page sign up conversion rate is so high, yes, I think I'm good at copying all of that, but I think part of that is most of those are warm people and leads in my audience who have signed up for something else, or have been showing up for all the different ways I nurture. So they already know me and they know I'm going to give them value, right? I've built a relationship and trust. And so they either want to learn from me, or they know that I'm not going to give them some fluff and bullshit, right? All of those pieces, I think we forget that goes into, especially for organic traffic sign up. And on the ad side, one of the reasons I'm able to get so much leverage from my ad spend, and again, I have a different business model, so we don't have to spend very much. It's just to kind of keep a trickle on the email list, basically, so we can keep the attrition of people who unsubscribe every time I sell, kind of at even there. No, but we've also doubled my email list from it, so I'm being silly there. But part of that is I know, look, a certain number of people will be interested in talking about working with me at the beginning, but I also know that all of those people who've signed up, I now have a chance to build a relationship with them. A lot of people are going to need 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. And if I'm continuing to show up and nurture them, build that relationship, right? That person who joined my list a year ago, if I don't treat them like they don't matter because they didn't hire me then, they might hire me down the road or refer me to someone. I literally have someone in my space who probably will never hire me, but has referred multiple clients to me because they signed up for something of mine and value my content, respect what I do, and I've continued to show up and nurture them. This is someone who, again, will probably never hire me because it doesn't make sense in terms of their business, and has referred what has made me tens of thousands of dollars, because not just because they signed up for something, but because I've continued to show up and nurture that relationship. And so I think we forget that if we get, I think, again, so short-sighted, and we're like, well, this doesn't work, and we forget that what's on the back end of that is what will make your business so much easier. That is how it, that's why I feel like I sound like an asshole. I don't mean it to sound this way at all. I'm just trying to give context when I say I'm sure after my masterclass that, someone will want to book a consultation with me. But even if that's not the case, I have very low stakes. It's why I can sort of break my own rules and kind of over teach a little bit on that, because I know I have done enough work to build my audience and my pipeline and to nurture people that someone will become ready this month anyway to hire me. Like I've just built that up in my business, and that's what we're talking about here. And I think we forget that again so often, or we think that doesn't work. And I really want to be evidence for you. That's quite literally how I've created massive amounts of ease and safety in my business. It's why I'm obsessed. I mean, I love marketing, so I'm obsessed with tinkering and tweaking and like testing and optimizing. But I also know that I'm just like, again, just always mindful of how I want to say this, but I could also afford not to do that because of my business model. And part of the reason for that is because of the focus on relationship build and nurture after someone comes into my world. It's how I grew to 1.4 million with, I think, less than 800 people on my email list. That doesn't make sense, but this is why it makes sense. And so that's just the piece there I would say I would just keep mind of, because I think it's really easy to get short-sighted in business and to kind of miss what you're building long term. That can, again, I think this is where so many people leave, between the follow-ups and this part here with the nurturing, leave so much money on the table and honestly so much ease on the table. Okay, so that is my answer to that question. Are freebies dead? Absolutely no. But I think it's a yes and no. I do think certain types of freebies are not getting signups, and I think there's multiple reasons for that. Yes, we can blame how saturated it is, and we can blame ChatGPT and information overload, but I think we can also decide to adapt with it and just be really smart business owners. But I don't think freebies themselves are dead. I think they, if anything, are just as alive as ever, and they're converting really well from what I'm seeing between my business and clients' businesses. I just think we have to be really mindful of what our audience is craving, what they're wanting to consume, and remembering that we have to show up and sell on both sides of that and continue to nurture. And even just remember within that, right, people are wanting to consume something different. And I'll just say, because I've been saying a lot about like how great our results are, which they are, but I also, like, just to normalize this, I don't get it right all of the time. And that's why I'm talking about the testing and the tweaking and the refining, the optimizing. I definitely don't get it right all the time. I think the difference is when I don't get it right, don't see that as a problem or something not working, because I really trust my ability to figure out. I just see it as an opportunity to look at what I didn't get right. I think I posted something today on social media that I was sure people would love. I'm pretty sure it's bombing. I think it's just a good example. I'm like, great, that's a test, right? Like, now I get to look at that, learn from that, and see what can I take from this to do the next one better. Like, how is this going to actually help me optimize and get better results? That is just the name of the game in marketing and business and overall. So I hope that's valuable for you. If you have questions watching on the replay, drop them for me. I would be happy to answer them for you. Please, please, please allow me to support you with that. Again, don't forget, we've got a free masterclass happening next week, the Simplified Scaling Blueprint. I'm going to walk you through the exact 5 strategies that I have used to scale smarter, not harder, and bring my business to 1.6 million, pay myself multi-6-figure years, and do that while actually increasing my profit margins while decreasing the number of hours I work. I've supported clients to 6, multi-6, and 7 figures across industries, niches, business models. You do not have to be a one-on-one coach for this. Most of my clients are not or don't want to scale that way. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what those are. So I would love, love, love to have you. Again, you'll get a bonus playbook and enter to win a VIP strategic planning session with me. And I am looking for that one right fit client. So if that is you and you don't want to wait for the class or anything like that, I will drop a link for a free coaching consultation. I do require those. I am picky is the wrong word. Fit is just really, really important for me. It is important to me that I'm working with clients that I believe I can support, that I'm the right person to support you. So please take me up on that call. It's completely free. I do require that, though, to work together. And if for any reason we're not the right fit, I promise I will lovingly let you know. But I look forward to connecting with you and seeing the rest of you in the masterclass next week. Again, you do need to sign up. It will not be hosted in this group, so there also will not be a live stream next week. All right, I love you all so much. I hope this was helpful for you. I'll see you in the masterclass next week. Bye.